Wednesday. We are so sorry that we are late today. You know how it is. There's M25, there's M11, there was police, there was accident. But anyway, we're here. They say better late than never. So we're here today to talk about Kenyan politics. So before we start, my name is Lydia Tetolet. As usual, your host, originally Wakanda Land from Kenya. You can see behind me here today, I have two very important people. Very important people. So we have the elect. And before I start, I would like my guests first to introduce themselves, and then we'll dig into our Kenyan politics as usual. So thank you very much, everybody, once again for watching. And if you're joining us, please do share to every single Kenyan group, so that we guys can be together, because we really want to talk to you guys. We want to talk to our Kenyans today. We want to talk some sense to all our Kenyans, and we want to hear your views as well. So thank you very much, guys. So today with me in the studio, we have...
My name is Tony Kagwaini, and I like to consider myself a Kenyan patriot. So that's really the basis under which I have appeared on this station today with you. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we also have...
My name is Samuel Kerango Maina. I am a Kenyan, an African patriot, a Pan-African. And I'm appearing on this show today to speak on that basis of how we can move Kenya and Africanism forward.
Okay, thank you very much. Guys, once again, last week when we were talking about politics, I was only here with men. And I know somebody asked me, where are the women? So I said I was representing the women. Today again, I have my two men, and I'm representing the women. But maybe next week we're going to have a woman to come and speak. Now, before we start, we have very two important people here behind me, right? And I want to talk about right now what is happening in Kenya. Yes, I appreciate you guys in Kenya, and thank you so much for not going in the streets to fight, because we saw that in 2017. We've seen that people going and fighting, and what are you fighting for? So totally we appreciate that this time nobody's going to the streets to fight, but there's still so much abuse going on. The people are abusing the elect president, people are abusing Raila, our Baba. Guys, it is not on. So if you don't have to like them, you don't have to love them, but you have to respect them. First of all, let me start with the elect. I know some people don't like the fact that President Ruto was the elect. People don't like that. Some people are like, we don't like him, he's not our president. But don't forget that that is an office. An office has to be respected regardless. And if you're a Christian, I'll be shocked, because the Bible says that we have to respect authority. Right now, the elect Ruto is the president, and is the one sitting on that office that is the authority that we have to respect. So you don't have to like him. You don't have to love him. You don't even have to call him your president, but you have to respect him. And when it comes to respect, all this name calling him names and abusing him and saying this and that, and some people even abusing up to the mom, that is wrong and it's not right. Totally not on. And now let me cross over to our Baba. People are disrespecting Baba, saying, oh, he's old, oh, he's this. You're forgetting that Kenya, we are where we are today because of him. He fought for us. He was arrested, he was jailed, he fought. Today we have a democratic Kenya because of Raila. If it wasn't for him, we only have 3 presidents. Right now the third one will be probably Gideon Moi, because Moi will have died and left it over to his son. But we have a democratic Kenya because of him. He fought. He made Kenya what he is today. So we have to respect that. We have to remember that. You don't have to like him, you don't have to love him, but you have to respect him. And by respect, is this name callings, guys. We need to stop with them callings. It is what it is. Right now, it is what it is. And we have to deal with it. We have to know a way forward. So, guys, that is my take, because I'm sad what's happening in Kenya. Yes, we are not fighting, but the abuse is too much. It's too much, and it's out of order. So what do you think about what is happening right now in Kenya? I'll start with you, Sam. With all this abuse and abusing Raila and abusing the elect.
I think one of the major problems we have in Kenya is how the politics has been practiced. If you sow the seeds of abuse at the platforms, on political platforms, when the politicians themselves are speaking, then their followers end up becoming the same. And it should come to an end. I believe what we saw at the SCJ, the Supreme Court, was a clarity on how Kenya should practice things, clean and efficient. So what Martha Koome gave us was a clean way of doing things, above board. And if we can take that into a politics, then this abuse can all be taken out. It's about your vote, the power of your vote. The majority carry the day, but we all remain Kenyans, and then we move Kenya forward for 5 years. Right now, the politicians are busy organizing themselves to pick up what they are going to earn for the next 5 years. Now, we as Kenyans need to get busy knowing what it is that they presented and what it is they were fighting for, and then go with them and flow with them and hold them accountable. So let's end the abuse, let's heal, let's forgive each other, let's embrace each other, because at the end of the day we are brothers and sisters, and move our nation forward.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'll come to what you said about the Supreme Court, because there were some words that were used that actually, those words, even people have now carried them in the streets, and they're words that were not necessary, and they're words that actually some people are now using it in the streets to send it back to Azimio and be abusing Azimio with the same words. So I disagree with you when you say the Supreme Court actually showing us a way forward on how to deal with Kenya, or how to move forward as a people. But they are the ones actually who are using words that they shouldn't even use anyway.
If you allow me to speak to that, when a judge passes a judgment, and particularly in this case a unanimous judgment, and they're passing the judgment based on the case presented to them, they have to make a conclusion, and it has to be clear based on the evidence that is presented to them. So we have to understand the judges and their conclusion based on the evidence that was presented to them. That's what they saw the evidence as, and that should have actually ended the matter, because us carrying it forward from that point on does not build Kenya, and it does not change what was the outcome at all. Yes, there is a grieving period, and during the grieving period people behave in various ways. I believe it will die down after the inauguration. We'll now move to another subject.
Next topic.
And what I would say to people is, familiarize yourself with your local politician, then your county politician, then your president, and the people who hold various offices, and then hold them accountable going forward. Let's move forward and focus, because we cannot change what now has already been cemented by the SCJ.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. I'll come to you, Tony, as well.
Well, regarding the abuses that are being thrown all over the place, clearly that is not on, and I don't think it is for Kenyans to do that, especially when you realize that, as Sam has said, some of them may already be on phone calls, they may already be having dinners, they may be having some very intimate conversations, even after a very heated race, as we saw in the just concluded elections. So I don't think there's any Kenyan really who should be calling each other names. And I have to be honest, I've had to block a few people on my phone because you know, if you start making conversations as if you don't understand that there was a divide here. There were people who supported Azimio, there were people who supported Kenya Kwanza. And it is very, very clear that anybody who is even claiming very, very serious legitimacy of the vote, they really should be able to sit back and ask themselves, we had 22,000 registered voters. The winning candidate has got 7 million votes. That means that is 30% of the registered voters. And if you go back to even that original figure of 22 million, you'd realize that there is probably another 10 million who never registered in the first place. So we're actually talking about a very small number of voters who are actually claiming victory against a very, very high number that is inclusive of the ones who didn't register, who are adults, who could have voted, and the ones who registered, who over 14 million of them didn't actually vote for the winning candidate. So I think as Kenyans, we really need to be able to deal with each other with a bit of respect to one another, understanding some of these things and knowing very well that, yes, the politicians have made it appear like elections are a matter of life and death. But we need to step back and ask ourselves, to whom is it a matter of life and death? Is it for me as a common mwananchi, or is it for the politician?
Yeah.
And the problem with us general Kenyans or the general citizenry, we have appeared to swallow hook, bait, sinker, plus the line of what these politicians sell to us. And I think this is really where we are going wrong in terms of then what happens after the elections. How are we left dealing with each other? And it's really sad when you see all these insults and abuses being hurled across the board. And as you said, I always, when I'm chatting with people on the social media, you can clearly tell when you're chatting with somebody that these people, if they're hurling insults at somebody like William Ruto, these are people who are probably even be his grandchildren, not just his children, but grandchildren, because we know how our politics are in Kenya. If this good gentleman called William had his first child at 20, then at 56, you can see the maths. Yeah. So you could find some of those people who are actually on social media could actually be calling this man a grandfather. Yeah. And some of them who are insulting, insult at somebody like Raila, they could actually be great grandchildren.
Exactly.
And you just wonder, where have our manners gone to?
No, we don't have any.
Well, Africanism seems to have gone through the window, but it's because we've bought into Hollywood. I call it a Hollywood sense of existence. Let's hope that we can bring Africanism back.
Yeah. Let's hope. But it looks like it's a long way.
It's a long way, yeah.
It's a long way away.
It's a long way, but I also think that it takes creating awareness more, because the thing is, if it's good you've blocked some people, right? That it's good, because the thing is, I've seen in groups, I even had to take some people out of the groups because somebody actually once said that, why should I be the bigger person when you're abusing me? So you abuse me, I abuse you back, you abuse me. So when will it end? But one person has to be a bigger person. But the thing is, who is going to be the bigger person? Nobody wants to be that bigger person and stop the abuse. So you abuse, I abuse, you abuse, you abuse, then it will just go on. So if you block them, you've done justice for even your own sanity as well. Because I know right now, people who are on Azimio, some of them are actually depressed, because that's not what they were expecting. That wasn't their expectation. But like I said, when you're playing football, someone has to win, someone has to lose.
There has to be a winner, there has to be a loser, but we also still have to say that Kenya won. When you have a peaceful election in Africa, the CNNs, the Al Jazeeras, they were hoping for something. They had sent the people there, booked the hotel rooms and everything. But
for war,
what turned out to be was the most transparent election in the world. Anybody could have gone to that portal and downloaded and tallied for themselves. Anyone in the world. Other nations tallied and completed the tally because they have the capability. As I understand, speculatively, the US had already completed it by Wednesday evening. They were sure which direction it was going. And what we should be now, after the SCJ ruling, stepping into is the victory that Kenya has globally achieved, that we are a mature democracy. We're a mature democracy. Why? We did it. It was contested, it went to court, and it was dealt with in a proper legal manner, and the process was followed. And
so
then
do you actually think, right, that the elections, I know we're going back, but do you actually think that the election was free and fair?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I believe they were free and fair. And despite the side of sport, if we had lost, I would have accepted the loss and say, okay, Baba Raila, lead us. Let's build Kenya. And now that We unfortunately, that side lost, but Kenya has won and has a president, and not just confirmed by the electorate, be it few people voted, but that's the way it is. All it is about who goes to vote. So if you don't carry out your civic duty by going to cast your vote, then if that man that you were hoping to be president does not become president, if his ideas are not implementable because you did not vote for him, you can't blame anybody. So we can only go by the number that actually bothered to go to the polling station and vote, and the number that correctly filled out the voting document. So that is what we can work with, because that's what democracy is, and we accepted to buy that method of choosing our leaders. So we have to go by it. Now, once we've gone through that whole process, next week on the 13th, we have an inauguration. And then we've got 5 years, people.
We have 5 years after
We have 5 years. And we cannot now start talking about what happened. No. There are manifestos that these people
Okay,
ran on.
I'll come and ask you that. Now you're running too faster than me. So I just want to ask, I know I asked you that question, do you actually think in your know, even though yes, the Supreme Court gave the judgment, but I asked you, do you actually think it was fair and free and fair? So you gave me the answer to that. And I'll ask Tony the same thing. Do you actually think, yes, we know what the Supreme Court said, but do you actually think it was free and fair?
Well, I don't want to sound like a sore loser, but I do have
Reservations.
my own reservations about the whole process. And I know Kenyans said we have to sort out these issues in 14 days when they go to the Supreme Court. And I also know that, you know, no less a human being than one of the justices of that honorable court said that prior to even the litigation started in court, that the 14 days were not actually sufficient for them to carry out that scrutiny and actually arrive at a proper conclusion as to whether or not some of the things that were alleged to have happened actually did happen. But again, just like the losers, the main contestants have said, we accept the judgment but not necessarily agree with it, you know. Especially for me, because some of the areas that I have issues with is why, like you said, if like you said in the US, they would have been able to count and tally and get the numbers by Wednesday evening. It just basically means, like, for me, why is it that so far within the last 3 years we have not been able to order a complete tally, count and verification of ballots and boxes, so that we are able to tell what really goes on? And because for me, I find all those people who alleged malpractices and things that they said couldn't have been right, they look like normal Kenyans who have got the welfare of Kenya and Kenyans at heart, to want to do things right way, get the right results in a contest. Because, as I've always said, being a Baba supporter, is that I don't have a problem with a result if the result is arrived at in a clean manner. And I would be the first one to tell Baba, hey man, you are my daddy, please accept.
Yeah.
This is clear as snow. It's as white as snow. I would not have an issue with that. But having said that, I think it's what it is, and we might have a lot of questions, and we'll continue having these questions as we go along. But the bottom line is we have to move on.
We must move on. But I will still insist on us respecting the referee, respecting the linesman, respecting the VAR.
Okay.
because at the end of the day, I've been in football, and I've watched from kids football. You arrive with sane parents with their children. And then you see antiques during the game that make you think, are these people okay? A child rolls himself, he's been touched, and there was no contact.
Yeah.
But that's the nature of competition. And the emotionalism that comes with it. Especially when people are hyped up.
Yes.
Especially when people's emotions are whipped and whipped and whipped and whipped. And in Kenya, elections get seriously whipped. And the day we can probably come up and have a control on the funds put in towards elections, then once you control how much a person who is running can put in, then it becomes easier to only have people who actually listened to him. Because in most cases, this whipping up is happening because the crowds are attracted because there's a penny or two being put out.
Yeah.
And we know that. And this is across the board. Because it's a game, and that's how the game is played.
Yeah.
So what do we do then to change the whipping up of emotions and focus on the things that these politicians intend to do when they go to office? Because this is an interview, it's a job interview. For me, when voting for someone, I am sitting as a HR manager of Kenya Limited or Kenya Public Corporation and saying, as one of the HR managers, I think we should employ so and so to run that department, to run that department. And if we do that as Kenyans and stop getting hyped up, then we can tell these people, as CEO of Kenya, we expect you
To do this
to
and
drive
that.
this country or these countries' growth by this much, by this period. And don't whip our emotions with 6K or Hustler Fund, but tell us, what exactly will you do? Give us figures. We are shareholders. Give us figures, and then we can vote and say, okay, you're the CEO. If Kenya was Apple, would the CEO whip up the emotions of shareholders? No, he has to come with a balance sheet, a projection sheet, and that's where we need to go towards. So Kenya needs to change. And I think one of the things that should be implemented going forward, and this would change the whole game completely. And as we're saying, we keep saying, and we're saying at UDA and Kenya Kwanza, that we have now a new face that's not from the faces that we knew previously. Now, I would add to that, in that case, can we also improve this by capping how much we're spending for
Which
elections?
new face are we talking about?
We're talking about Ruto. When we talk about him not being from, in quote unquote, dynasty families. Now, would we then be able, if then we're empowering people from base of the pyramid, from every part of the pyramid, can we put a cap on election expenditure so that it's not about how much money one can be able to raise to push their race, but what they're offering?
You know, I think maybe if you allow me, because I think
To interject there, yeah.
yeah, I have a small issue with this dynasty thing because it doesn't sit very well with me, especially when it's mentioned from this part of the world. Because for one reason or another, I seem to recollect that when we, like now, the way we tagged Baba as dynasty, I find it very, very strange that, one, when Raila's dad was a vice president in Kenya, Raila never enjoyed, he was not even anywhere near enjoyment of those 3 years that his father was in government as a vice president. In fact, if people recall very well, at that point, Raila was, if I remember correctly, and I stand to be corrected, he was away doing some education somewhere. And as we know, 3 years, very short period of time.
Was it in 3 years? I think it was shorter than that.
Well, if you look at 63 to 66, because I think that's about where the period it was. Anyway, even if you were to extend it to 4 years or even to 5 years,
we can't
it was actually shorter than, well, you may want to, just for the sake of argument. But what I'm trying to say is that, and this is where I would want to challenge my colleague here, is that those are the things that I think even when we are doing politics, I think we should be careful that we say the right thing, we put the right information to the Kenyan mass, especially some of those people who may not even have time to go and dig up some of this information to get themselves to understand what is being said that is right
And
and what is being said that is wrong. And even because I had you mention the Hustler Fund, and you also mentioned the 6K figure. You know, one of the things that, as per the issue that you've raised about whipping up emotions and things like that, you know, I was on the ground during these just concluded campaigns, you know, in Kenya, and one of the things that was very, very clear to me, even when you're dealing with those people on the ground, is the suffering, the abject poverty that some of those people are actually going through, such that the question that I would always be asking myself, especially when I would move around and I would find a grown man like me asking me for the equivalent of 50p in Kenya, and I'm thinking, how is it that a grown man like me would actually stretch out a hand to another man of his age and ask for 50p? And this guy is not crippled, he's not lame, you know. And to me, the point that I would want to drive home here is the fact that even as we did those politics, we made it appear as if the issue of 6,000 for those poverty-stricken families in Kenya was a pie in the sky. It was something that was wrong. It was something that could not even be managed. It was not something that was even possible, you know. And when I look at my brothers and sisters in Nairobi and actually see and feel how much a 6,000 shillings kick from those people who are actually down there on the bottom end of things, what it could do to them, you know. And the question is, even as we did those politics, are we really being honest to say that for the 3 million people who are on that statistics which were collected, you know, by the census in 2019 or 2017, wherever it happened, are we being honest telling people that it is not possible to give those 3 million families 6,000 shillings to make sure that you don't have a neighbor who is going out and coming home with 1 million shillings cash money, not even some deals or a check or a promissory note or something like that, 1 million shillings going home, when somebody in the neighborhood here who has got a whole family cannot even take home 50p.
The balancing act of the economics of Kenya, or the economy of Kenya, it has to be, in my perspective, a bottoms up investment of capital and knowledge, not gifts. This is the reason. Whenever you give those gifts into the hands of the BOP, base of the pyramid, that money in less than 48 hours very quickly gravitates to the top of the pyramid. I tell you why. Soon as that person receives the 6,000 shillings, their first stop would be to buy milk, to buy consumables, quick consumables. And those consumables that they will buy will only feed into certain few companies owned by certain few persons. So literally the taxpayer is basically handing that money straight into the pocket of somewhere or someone at the top. Now, if you enable more people to own more businesses, to employ these people so that they have the dignity of work, because then again, these 6,000, yes, it may be nice should it be somebody who is unwell. That is considerable. But if it's somebody who is able to work, if we were to enable more people to have businesses, for them to employ these people, the pride of getting your own 20,000 shillings and budgeting for it is higher than receiving the 6K. And then feeding other issues that we've seen in other nations, even us who live here in diaspora. We know that a lot of these people who then go, and some of us have benefited from it on our bad day when we've gone and signed on and received something. But we know there are others who make it their culture. And you cannot encourage that on a growing nation like Kenya. Instead, you can stipulate that is there by taking away taxes up to a particular level, which I believe is already in place, so that if these people get employment and they receive employment, they don't have to pay maybe up to 20,000 shillings. They don't pay any taxes. And then reduce taxes on the foodstuffs that they buy regularly. Now, in the Hustler Manifesto, if I may call it that, the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, that is what is enshrined in it. How to get people out of the tax bracket and then also enable them to earn by focusing on the SMEs, enabling the SMEs. And this was very possible, and I saw it firsthand during the Kibaki days, when the economy was run from a bottoms-up system. So there was more money circulating, and those people who were asking for the equivalent of 50p, they were busy helping out with local companies that were working on roads. The others that were producing stones and rocks and various sand. They were busy, and they could get that money that was circulating. But without circulation, when we invite in a Chinese company and takes the whole project, brings in all the equipment, brings in even some of the materials, we are denying the bottoms up.
You know, Sam, it will be very well if things really just worked as easy as the way you're putting it, getting that money from the bottom and taking it up and down again, or however you put it. But I think we need to be very, very clear that today, in Kenya today, there are people who are dying out of hunger.
Yes.
And sufficient. This day.
Yeah.
Okay? Now, one of the reasons why we talked about the 6K was because we knew that today, not tomorrow, not next year, somebody today will die out of hunger.
Yeah.
So what do you do with that person? Even if you're coming with, because tying our 6,000 to the issue of a job, we came up with a product per county where we are going to do all those industries so that as you stop people from dying from hunger today, you are also creating those opportunities so that, as you know, and you just said here, we have sometimes gone and collected that dole, once in a while, but we know that even the system that we have in this country does not encourage somebody to continue perpetually on that dole.
But it has been abused.
It has been abused.
Very frequently.
Absolutely.
And for a country that has got all the systems in place. And if you look at the Conservative Party, since they took over, they have quickly and practically gone reducing it so much.
Yeah.
And then they've also worked on other areas where they've opened up jobs to the point now they don't even have enough workers. So for me, I will look at Kenya and say, let's get SMEs. We had the Kibaki economics. It worked. But let's get SMEs.
Sam, even before you go there, how long do you think it would take to get those SMEs or even that hustler fund to start generating jobs and incomes for people so that the people who are dying today?
I think we will see an effect as President-elect Ruto said. We will see an effect.
How
from
soon?
100
That's my question.
days, because it's just a matter.
So
from 100 days, we will begin to see an effect.
So is that from 100 days from the 13th, right?
After his inauguration, he is already, as we speak, mechanisms to get are getting put. They already had the concepts, and not just concepts, proven processes that existed, that were practiced during the Kibaki economics, that were withdrawn. And as soon as it's like shutting off one tap and opening it. And I hear what you're saying, there are people hungry now. Okay?
Because you see, what you're saying, Sam, here is that if we are, because the last time, and I could be wrong again, the last time I checked, we are losing something like about 1,000 people a day in Kenya from hunger and starvation. And you could check that. Now, if you're talking about 100 days, how many people are those? That's 100,000 people.
How long would it have taken?
Okay.
How long would it have taken to implement the 6K?
If you remember,
that too has its processes.
I'll tell you what.
And how long to stop any chance of it being abused? Because
you see, Sam, I don't think we can say that we will not implement a policy because of fear of abuse. Because even my little understanding of law says it's better to let a criminal free than to lock up an innocent person. You understand? So what am I trying to say? That it's better to have a grown person, somebody who is employed, to collect the 6,000 shillings than to have somebody who needs it dies because you are trying to stop the person who can abuse the system.
Then I have
now,
an invitation for you.
Having said that, if you remember, one of the last things that our running mate candidate said, that it was possible to get the 6,000 shillings running within 3 weeks. Why? Because, as I mentioned earlier, we already have the statistics showing the families during the census that was carried out who registered that we do not have a single head in this household who earns money one way or another. So what I'm actually trying to say, and I think this is a lie that was repeated over and over again about the 6,000, that one, it was not possible to implement it. The biggest issue was the abuse and the fact that we didn't have money. Those three lies. And I'll tell you what, when you cross over to this other side, now that you say that you are going to give the hustlers money down there so that they can do business and they can create the industries and things like that.
Affordable loans, yes.
You know, the last time I checked, and I know this is not subjudiced to talk about the case about Gachagua of the 202 million. The last time that I checked this was a conduit that was being used where you collect youngsters and they go and collect.
I would steer away from speculation.
You may what? No, what I'm trying to say is that you see, Sam, what you're saying here, we are talking about abuse, and I'm mentioning about a case of abuse that has been brought about of that fund. Such that
is it something proven?
Well,
or is it something I wasn't even aware of?
So far, what is actually proven is the fact that the court actually directed that the 202 million out of the 7.3 billion that went through that route, because this was about people collecting some tender there, either for the youth or for the women or whatever fund that we have already going on in Kenya, and then appearing as if they are actually doing some business, and then going all over the place from Lamu to Kakamega to Bungoma to Nyeri and all these places, and that money actually going round, which is exactly what you've said when you say that when you collect the 6,000 and you give it to these people, they will buy milk, they will buy sugar and whatever. But you see, the difference with that 6,000 is that at least it is not going down this route that we are talking about of the 7.3 billion. Because you know what? By the time that money goes to those top people you're talking about, they would have helped the man who has got a cow in the village, the man who has got a kiosk next door. That is how that money is going to go through. And that is why we were explaining that giving the 6,000, it is not like you're going to bounce it off back.
It will evaporate. It will evaporate eventually. Yeah. But that's aside. Let's say we strike out the accusation against the deputy president elect on a simple basis. He himself said that it was leveled against him. He handed every document, and yet no case was completed regarding that matter. So you can speculate that, you can speak about it, but we're just going to the past. He is the deputy president elect. There is a manifesto for us to work with. And I was going to add to you and say, this is about building Kenya. If what you're talking about is feasible and viable, you are officially the opposition. Why don't you take your place in Parliament, in Senate, and not just that, as an individual here, and push those ideas, and us as diasporans, and push those ideas, so that the good stuff the good ideas that we can come up with can gravitate and touch those in office and have them implemented for a better Kenya. So because for the next 5 years, I repeat again, we will not go back to the ballot and discuss Raila and Ruto. We will not go back to the ballot and discuss our manifestos. The manifesto that carried the day is the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. What you can do as the opposition, as we have the experience, we have it here in the UK, the Labour Party being out, would make some suggestions and would push for some bills in Parliament and those bills then would be enacted, and people who are supporting those ideas.
Sam, I'll answer that, because one, I'll tell you the reason why I came for this debate this evening was actually to debate what is it that we can agree as people, as diasporans, that we can then export to Kenya, so that we can change that our motherland and make it what it ought to be. That is actually one of the reasons why I came today. It's just that obviously when you talk about your bottoms up, your and
the manifesto that carried the day.
Talk about the manifesto. Well, I think, as I said, and we can continue going on and on and on and on about it. Okay.
I'm listening.
It was a win.
I've just told you
that.
You see, because the point that I'm trying to make, and this is, I was going to answer that question.
We can't be talking.
Let me just answer that question, because what I was trying to tell you is that the reason why I came here is because I think, as you've said rightly, the campaigning period is over.
Yes.
Okay? We cannot continue talking really about those things as they were, because right now, as you've said rightly, we can only sit back and hope and pray that the things that you guys said you will do, you
don't
will
sit
do.
back. Please don't sit back. Hold the government
you see,
accountable.
no, when I say sit back, it's because the things that you said, I can't do them. It is you who can do them.
But you can get involved.
No, listen.
You can stay on the opposition and
Yeah, I'm not by any way Sam saying that we will not take our rightful position as the opposition. All I'm just trying to say is that since, and it's rightly so, you are in power, the only thing that we can do is to rightly watch and play our role as the opposition in making sure that what you promised
is being implemented.
And contribute.
But above that, and this is where I'm coming, that is why I came in here today, is to make sure that we will remove all the chaff from the wheat, especially as diasporans who can actually understand now that, just like, you know, during the 2017 and the other previous elections where you had the Kimuguruki, you had the madman, you had the drunkard and all that, we sit as people who know the lies that were propagated during the election period, the things that we know can work, whether those things are in UDA or whether those things are in Azimio. As diasporans, we should be able to sit here today and work out a plan of this was said or this was on the manifesto of Azimio. Because we can't sit here and say that the people who drew the manifesto for Azimio were madmen or people who don't know a thing about running a government. We can't say that. So we know that even as we talk about your win because of your manifesto, we know that, and I know you would probably accept to a large extent that if you were to be very, very honest, you didn't win the election because of the manifesto. Because we know the kind of politics that we play in Kenya.
I supported ideas,
Yeah.
and a lot of the people that I know, even regardless of what you say, the kind of politics we have in Kenya. This is where sometimes I tell diasporans, and I'll say this very clearly: let's stop putting down the people in Kenya. The fact that we got into a plane doesn't make us any sharper. The fact that we have experienced other places. The people in Kenya, even when you go and you discuss, people know what they are voting for and who they're choosing and why they're choosing. I'll give you an example of that. Go to Central Province, or formerly Central Province. See how we quickly get rid of non-performers. Okay? You don't deliver, 5 years, you're out of the door. From MCA level through to the top. See how many independents have managed to win. Okay? See how many fast timers have managed to win. It tells you that people are sharp. And I like what Dr. Ruto says, President-elect. Wajinga Kenya waliisha. And we are going through that process now of Wajinga kuisha kabisa. So that we get to that point where politics is policy-based.
Because I think it's very clear for our viewers to understand that by no means am I saying that every Kenyan is ignorant or does not understand. But I'm saying, even in this country, even people who are very, very active in the labor movement or in the conservative side of things, how many people go through that manifesto and understand it and actually vote for that manifesto? That is what I'm saying. That even today, if you look at probably the 7 million people who voted for Ruto, you would still, I would really want to get like an honest opinion. Out of those 7 million people, how many of those people do you think understood the manifesto and voted for Dr. Ruto because they understood the manifesto of KK?
And that's,
just give me a rough figure.
I cannot give you a rough figure. I won't pluck anything from the air.
Okay.
But what I would say to you, and that's what I said, if we move from the politics of crowds and we come to politics, and this goes against you, your man refused to attend the debate, where you speak and present your manifesto. So we need to move forward to be people who will attend such debates, town hall meetings, and then hold our parties accountable. I used to be, I thought Jubilee was it. I thought we now have a party for the long term.
And just to remind you, your candidate didn't attend the presidential debate. You remember that?
And I didn't agree. Okay? And I didn't agree. And this is my point. We need to come to where we are quoting Kenyans as politicians. We quote them and tell them, this marriage, when I get in there, this is kind of husband I will be. This is a kind of expectations, so that you know that what the relationship would be. Not a case of, oh, we just voted, we feel nice because our man won. And after that, we know our man will do nothing. So we just return to our daily life, struggling and suffering. And we don't even hold him accountable until the next time he comes. But Wajinga Kenya, Walisha na Wanaisha. And we will continue to have situations, we call people like you, to keep calling people accountable. Come and speak. Invite them. Come and speak to us. Tell us, how far have you gone? After 100
days. So I
think
100 days we have to come back. Sam, 100 days we have to come back and see
what
has been implemented so far. And what I just want to say is, it's not about how many people understood the manifesto, how many people, because that's why we also had the voters' apathy, because there was no education. And that's why a lot of people did not even care to register. Even here in diaspora, we cried, we asked, we begged, we did everything that we should be allowed to vote. How many people in diaspora even registered to vote? And the ones that registered to vote, how many people even turned up anyway? Very few, okay? Even though we know that there are 12 countries that have been allowed to vote in diaspora. Only one out of them, the registered voters, only one out of them voted Dr. Ruto. All the 11 voted Raila. But that is not why we're here today. We're here today to talk about the way forward. Because whether we voted for Raila Azimio or we voted for UDA, right now we have the elect.
We have a government.
We have a government. So it's how do we move forward? Whether we have opposition, and to have opposition is very good. And actually I liked what Dr. Ruto said, the elect. He said he doesn't want a handshake.
Yes.
He said he doesn't want a handshake because he wants an opposition that is going to be accountable. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's going to be accountable. So I like that. That I would say I liked. Because if there's handshake, then we just, jinga ita endelea. But now there's opposition.
Yeah.
After 100 days, what have you given us? We want to see. So I like the fact that we have 100 days after 13th of September. So we're going to count that. And then 101, we're going to be back here. We are going to hold you accountable as Kenyans. Yeah, we're going to hold you accountable because you are the one who have given us. And when I say us, that doesn't mean that I'm in the opposition. I'm just facilitating. But as a facilitator as well, I want to see what has been done within those 100 days.
Wonderful. And can I give you a challenge as well?
Yeah.
While I'm working, because I need you to work with me.
Yeah.
He gave a promise to diaspora to give us a ministry. It's
Yeah.
in our manifesto.
Yeah.
Can you not go asleep about it and wait for us to do it because we're UDA or Kenya Kwanza?
No.
Can we all run together?
Of course.
Because he promised.
Yeah.
Now, we have taken off the uniform, UDA, Kenya Kwanza. We're Kenyans. We're building
wearing,
Kenya.
right now we're wearing one uniform.
We're wearing the flag of Kenya.
Yeah, that's right.
So as Kenyans in diaspora, you just said it, we know the problems that Kenyans have as diaspora Kenyans. Shall we hold Dr. Ruto to his word on the Kenyan diaspora community having a ministry, being represented, our embassies and high commissions working according to the standards that would expect them to work? That's something that you can work with us on. And even though we would say we're in government, you would be aiding us because it's the voices. Remember, in 5 years, he'll come back for votes and it could be your vote. And your vote will be bought by his delivery
But
or lack thereof,
yeah, but nobody,
unless you have other
but
things.
nobody have ever ruled for 5 years. Whether he's going to have implemented whatever he said he's going to, he's still going to be
In university, when we were in primary school, they used to score us out of 100. Okay, and they used to say for you to pass, it has to be 60, 70,
80.
But in university, they say 40. Let me tell you my standard, and it may seem low, but if we achieved 40% of what is in that manifesto
within 5 years.
within 5 years, Kenya would have an astronomical growth economically. Living standards would improve and would have his mandate. I promise you, if he achieves that, if he's watching this and he hears this, if we achieve as Kenya Kwanza 40% of the promises in that manifesto, or build, some of them are much longer than 5 years, or build foundations, you conscious people who wajinga walisha, because there is no wajinga anymore, you will look and say, well, he said he's going to build 12 floors and he's built
At least there's something. There's a
40%.
foundation. Yeah.
Let's give him another 5. That is what I am here to speak about. Because now we have a government. We cannot dilly-dally. Let's hold them accountable. Hold us accountable. Those of us who voted for that. Are we speaking to them? Are we speaking to our leaders? Are we speaking to them and saying, are you doing this? You as the opposition, you have access. Because you have the power of the opposition. He said he wants a powerful opposition. You have access, you have voices. He said the DCI, the judiciary will be free. So we are looking at a free, fair Kenya. And that's why for me, I am believing for the first time, we'll see something absolutely different.
I want to give the president-elect the benefit of the doubt.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of speculation, as even before he became the president, that even if you ask a primary school child who is the most corrupt individual in Kenya, they always say is Ruto, so his name has been called more than 30 times when it comes to corruption. And we also have, right now, we have speculation that he's the president of Kenya, but not really the president of the people. And all those are speculations because there's nothing that was ever proven. And we also have the fact that some people are saying he's going to change the constitution, the legislation that is going to be the president forever until he gives it to his son. So we have a lot of speculation going around the elect. So I just want to give him the benefit of the doubt and know that he's going to, all these speculations that are going around, he's going to prove every single person wrong.
May I interject?
Fine.
Uhuru, ex-president Uhuru, now former President Uhuru, he had a huge mandate. He tried to push BBI to change the constitution. If he didn't manage, you think Ruto really will? The Kenyan constitution.
Well, people say he has
and the
powers.
Kenyan, and the Kenyan,
He has
and
the
the
power to do
Kenyan
anything.
wajinga Kenya walisha.
Yeah.
No one is going to come there and toy with the constitution to change it. Because wajinga Kenya walisha. And here it is. You come with your money, you buy a Kenyan, he goes to the other person and says, how much are you offering? And he takes yours and chooses the right path.
But the speculation is he offers the best. He offers the best
How?
deal, so he can
Why?
actually.
Why is everybody really? Dr. Ruto is supposed
This
to be
is on
richer. All these
speculation. This is on speculation,
that
not proven.
He's supposed to be richer and more capable to buy the whole of Kenya. Literally, then, hey, if he can afford to buy all of Kenya, let him buy me, because he has never given me a penny.
Well, I think Sam,
My bank account could do with some of that money.
I think so that we don't really, because I think we need to be very clear, especially on this issue of corruption, because this is a topic that is very, very dear to me.
Yeah.
And especially because I know that we just play around with that issue as if, especially people from this side of the world, as if we don't understand the impact of corruption on all those things that you see going wrong in Kenya. And this is really one of the key things that, as I said, one of the reasons why I would be sitting with you here is for us to start getting honest with each other and understand one thing. One, when Transparency International decided to find a way of measuring corruption, they didn't decide to go and collect data from high courts or Supreme Courts or magistrate courts or from police stations, because they know that today, if me and you get involved in a corrupt deal, none of us will want to own up to that, whether you are the receiver or you are the giver. And that is why they came up with what we call perception index. And that is, I think, what you are alluding to when you talk about young kids talking about Ruto being the most corrupt person. And as the Waswahili say, panapo moshi hapakosi moto. One of the things that I would really want to challenge the diaspora is because we know, and no matter how much we want to throw it under the carpet, we know that the biggest problem in Kenya is corruption, right? And you may want to play around with this matter, as I've found other UDA friends of mine want to do, to not want to put.
I think that's using again a brush to just brush
Yeah.
a group of people because
Yeah.
they support a particular person.
Yeah. What I was going to say, if you just want to let me finish, is that I wish we could find a way that as diasporans would first and foremost appreciate that most of all the bad things that are going on in Kenya, hata sio hiyo ujinga unasema, it's actually the issue of corruption. And yet, we seem to want to continue encouraging the masses to continue celebrating people who are known to be involved in corrupt deals. For example, I will tell you this. I don't know whether I mentioned this the last time that I was here. I'm one of those people who were very clear that somebody like Waluke should not have been given a ticket to vie for a constituency. And I know he's Azimio, so before you even throw it at me, I know he's Azimio, and I can tell you, I don't take alcohol. And the day they threw out the case of Sonko at the Supreme Court because of issues of integrity, that day I had a double. And I don't take alcohol. You know why? Because it didn't matter, because that time when they threw out that case, Sonko was actually in Azimio, And what I would really want to encourage us, especially from this end, is to make sure that we do our bit to make sure that those people down there, hata kama unasema wajinga waliisha, because even as you say that, we see it being practiced by the same people that unasema sio wajinga, going to queue behind somebody who is, it's not even what you're saying at speculation, or we are saying like now that we are talking about, we are talking about people who are known, who have gone through even the court system, and they have been caught with their fingers on the tip.
But
yet we the diasporans, we are not taking that issue so seriously enough to even deal with it the way it should be.
But the brush you're using, it sweeps across literally most or all Kenyans to a very few, because we have been born into a nation that was pushed toward that direction, to have that kind of culture. Now, Tell me, go through the Kenyan codes. Tell me a politician who is not in court for a process of a land deal or something. Show me one. Show me a politician who's not had his name in Kenya tagged to a corrupt deal. Even if some of them, they managed to whiten up or whitewash the deals by probably using the law or having the law created so that they can be able to get that deal. But when you look at it from a Kenyan point of view and a humanity point of view and the best interest of the nation, the deal done was actually corruption. Okay? So this is a big, broad thing. But I look at the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto, judiciary being set free, totally independent, DCI being set free to manage its own funding, and the same thing with the judiciary. That gives me hope. And going forward to the 5 years, again, your vote is on the line to this gentleman, because he will want to come back again, to all the people who have got posts that we have employed now, because the HR department has concluded and we've given them employment, and this one doesn't have probation period. The probation runs for 5 years, and after that you sack them all, re-employ them. So based on the manifesto, let's hold him accountable. You said you're going to strengthen the judiciary and give them the freedom to operate independently. So we are holding you accountable, President Dr. Ruto. President Dr. Ruto, you say the police will be better paid and equipped and housed so that they can perform. I have spoken about that for years. Why? How difficult is it to build houses for the police? How difficult is it to give them loans for them to get their own mortgages and tie them to the job so that the job becomes so important that they don't want to get fired by being caught with their hand collecting from someone, and therefore then they fulfill their end of the mandate, what their job required prescription is about. I spoke to a friend of mine who had their car clamped the other day and towed away, and she was being asked for money. And I say to her, how much are they asking you? She said 4,000 shillings. I say to her, it's only 7,000 shillings penalty. Go pay and drive your car home proudly. Lipa ushuru jenga Kenya. And that's what she did. And after that she said, I feel so liberated. I said, yes, that's how you should be feeling. Because you did the wrong thing. You double parked your vehicle. So you did the wrong thing. And the penalty is written. Go and ask for the official receipt. If 1 million of us do that a week in Nairobi, the system suddenly changes. These people start respecting and honoring their jobs. Their salaries go up because we are paying. Humans will always go through red lights. They'll always make mistakes. And if we pay that, then their pay rises. And because Dr. Ruto, our president-elect, in the manifesto has clearly stated that he is going to enable the police to perform their work independently, then on that basis, shall we then challenge? Shall we then support? Shall we get involved? Shall we propose? Is there a digital system that can be proposed? I proposed that this digital system to Jubilee government that would have helped in reporting crime and being able to identify crime hotspots via USSD, *3 numbers, star 3 numbers hash, and get a menu and report car accident. Take a picture, upload. It's very, very simple system that would have helped, and it would have meant we have got statistics. We know where the crime hotspots for things being nicked are. We know where the accident hotspots are. Those kind of things. But it was never listened to. Why? Because somebody somewhere has got speculation on my behalf.
Again?
From me. Somebody somewhere wants the status quo to remain for maybe some benefit. Because I don't see any other reason why. But now we can hold this government and say, in Kenya, the mobile phone uptake is as high as most countries in the world. 5G, 4G, 3G. My village in Gaturi, Muranga, there is 4G. I spoke with my family. I speak with my family. There 2 hours will be online on video call. He has said he's going to implement that in the whole country. So crime reporting can be done efficiently, which means a police officer who is enabled and digitized, equipped with the right equipment, then on the scene, even with a camera, they cost pennies. We can have them produced and manufactured, assembled in Kenya, and eventually start manufacturing them in Kenya. Growing the economy. So if we do that and challenge this proactive government that we're calling a digital government, I'm sure, as I said, 40%, all you have to do is achieve 40%, and our nation will be in the right direction.
You know, Sam, just before I ask her to move on to the next topic, you know, it's all well what you've said, and I can tell you that those are the things that run through my mind. I've spoken about those things, you know, because, and this is really what I'm really talking about is, one, we need to appreciate first and foremost, because I think this is where there is a disconnect. First and foremost, I think the disconnect is the fact that we have not made it very, very clear to the people to understand exactly how bad corruption is and how badly it affects them. You understand?
I think Kenyans know. They know. They feel it. It hits them.
Okay.
He hits them every day.
You know, I think maybe that's something that we can debate about, because I know that the reason why I know Kenyans don't understand it, a lot of them, not all of them, because some of those things that you're talking about, how not to do those bribes, those are the things that I go on the ground and I do. I'll never go into my pocket and give a cop money, never. You know, but if you want to know why Kenyans don't really understand how badly corruption affects them, is when you hear them telling this man, kama wanaiba, si hata wewe uibe.
But that,
you know why? Let me tell you something. You know the reason. You know where that is coming from? That is coming from the fact that we do not appreciate that when somebody is stealing or when somebody is being involved in corruption, it does not affect us. You think it's because like now all they're thinking about is, even if there was a case that this man stole, as far as they're concerned, even if that is a culture in Kenya, it doesn't affect them, because all you need to be able to do is to find yourself in a place where you can get yourself involved in corruption and get away with it and go home happy with 1 million shillings.
Yeah, because that's something that a lot of Kenyans
but that's the thing. If we look at it, and if you're rolling that in, I'll roll you back to before the elections. This was also the belief we have, and for the man that you're speaking for, who you've supported, because you're speaking also from that perspective of supporting him. We have the system, we have the deep state. How can we lose this election? That also tells you, and that's the attitude of, we also, actually some of them openly said, we can steal it, we have it.
Let me make my point, Sam, because really what I'm saying here, Sam, what I'm actually trying to say here is that we need to be able to appreciate that is where things are, so that as the voice of the diaspora, because I can tell you, you know, the people who are in parliament today, they have come in through that system. So even as you talk about your good government of UDA and Kenya Kwisha, we know that even those products.
Shall we please moderate properly? You see, we talked about insults a while ago.
Okay.
That is an insult.
What is an insult? Because I can withdraw and apologize.
What Kenya? What?
Kenya Kwisha. No, that's what you said.
Oh, did I say Kenya Kwisha?
Yes, you did say Kenya
sorry.
Kenya Kwisha.
By the way, no. Sam, let me tell you, to be very, very honest, I had no intention.
You see, you're subconscious.
No, I would not do that, because let me tell you, Sam, you know, we have to respect each other.
You say Kenya Kwisha, but to be honest,
I didn't even hear that.
I'm not in supporting what he said.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that.
He's so passionate about what he's saying.
And that's what I'm saying. We need to move forward.
Yeah. So
elections are over.
Gentlemen, okay, listen. We're going to do this again next time. We're going to do it again and again, because after 100 days we need to come. After the inauguration or the day inauguration, we need to come here as well.
Thank you.
So we celebrate with Kenyans, because that is a day.
We celebrate Kenya.
We celebrate with Kenya and Kenyans,
yes,
as Kenyans as well, because that is the day that whatever we've done, that day we wear a Kenyan T-shirt, all of us, rather than yellow or blue. That's the day we wear Kenyan colors. And you know that Kenyan colors represents a lot. We have the red. The red is something that really resonates with us, because we did a lot of blood. As a lot of blood has been shed in Kenya, whether it's
innocently.
innocent blood, whether it's the day of when we were doing the independence, before independence, or even after independence, we're still killing ourselves. Understand? So that red symbolizes a lot. So on that day of inauguration, we're supposed to come back here with the Kenyan t-shirt. We are proud Kenyans. We are moving forward.
Yes.
Okay? So we're out of time. I'm so sorry we're running out of time. But we're going to come back, and we're going to come back again. But we're running out of time. So your last remark, I don't want your last remark to be a story again. Your last remarks is just few seconds. Okay? So I'll start with you, Sam. Just your last remarks.
Yes.
Talking to Kenyans, and just give your last remark, please.
Well, fellow Kenyans, we have a government, we have a president-elect who will be confirmed or sworn in on the 13th. We have had a very powerful race, and we have shown that we can do democracy. Let's now hold our leaders accountable, and as well support them and work with them, bring our brains, regardless of party alignments and allegiances, and bring our brains together and build Kenya, because it's our Kenya. We cannot leave it and go to another country. So what can we offer Kenya? What can we offer the president, the deputy president, our MCAs, our governors? What can we offer them? Be it opposition, be it propositions, and also take up the opportunities presented. The Hustler Manifesto has so many opportunities in it. If 40% of those initiatives are going to be realized, should be and it will be by Kenyans, with Kenyans, from Kenyans' pockets and brains. Get involved and earn your money within Kenya, among Kenyans, and with fellow Kenyans. And then in 5 years, we can hold somebody accountable and either send them home or give them another mandate.
Thank you very much, Sam. So, Tony, please, just your last remarks. Don't start storytelling.
I just want to tell Kenyans, the day we appreciate exactly how much corruption costs us in Kenya, in terms of sicknesses, in terms of preventable deaths, in terms of poverty that has stricken a lot of people, that is the day that will be truly liberated. And that is the day it will not matter who is the president, who is the governor, who is the MCA, because as long as we look at that issue critically and understand that there is no way you can send a hyena to take your goats to shepherd them into the farm. It will never happen, because there is no way that hyena will return with the goats or with the cows. So I think I would want to make Kenyans appreciate that. If they do not appreciate the impact of corruption on their lives and stop celebrating people who have got dubious characters behind them, it will not be possible for Kenya to become liberated, and it will not be possible for Kenyans to enjoy the full potential of what is available in Kenya. Because from where I sit, I believe there is nothing that is available in this country that is not available in Kenya 100 times or 1,000 times. And it's just that we spend our time chasing personal endeavors with very, very little patriotism involved in terms of looking at the dream of the country and making Kenya the beautiful country that it is. That's all I ask Kenyans to do.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. For me, I'd just like to say thank you so much. And I totally respect you, elect Ruto. And I also respect you so much, Baba. Thank you so much for everything you two respectful gentlemen have done, or are still doing, or are still going to do for our country, Kenya, our beloved Kenya. And in the matter of corruption, guys, that is too deep. It's too deep that we actually really need to start pruning it out right now. And thank you so much, everybody, for watching. And I will say keep on sharing, even though we finished, but keep on sharing. And thank you so much as we stand out and speak up. And we'll see you again next week on Wednesday, the same time, 6:30 p.m. UK time and 8:30 p.m. Kenyan time. Until then, as we